Thank you for joining us tonight. Big man, how are you understanding this latest proposition from the Trump administration?
Well, I think it is more like Venezuela than you think. So I don't think the United States is going to go in there shooting it out. And the reason that Venezuela was relatively successful and easy was we had made deals with the generals. And I suspect those deals have been made with the Cuban people, too. People, you know, who run the armed forces, but I could be wrong. So I believe that you made a mistake when you said that Iran's not a nuclear threat. It is. And I believe that evidence is overwhelming. But Cuba isn't. And Raúl Castro deserves what he gets. We all know that. They've been running narcotics through there since 1962. And they're murderers, they're killers. But I can understand a point of view as, okay, look, we have all of this problem in the Gulf with Iran. We don't know how this is going to work out. Why do we need to do this on Wednesday? You know, can't we wait till June? I understand the question. It should be answered by Hegseth, Secretary of War, but what are you going to do? That just puts it into the, we'd like an answer to this question, Mr. President. It's a legitimate question.
What's next, Congo?
I don't think so, because Ebola. But there's a lot of minerals in Congo. No nonstop flights, Cuomo. That's the problem with the Congo. It's tough to invade there. You got to stop 4 or 5 times before you get there.
It doesn't strike you as curious that not a single member of this puppet administration's intelligence apparatus has come forward with any kind of suggestion that the regime in Iran was weeks away from having a nuclear weapon? Not a single word. Doesn't strike you as curious?
No, because I interviewed, as we spoke on this program, the weapons inspectors out of Austria, and I did interview some U.S. intel people, all of whom say that the enrichment of uranium was going full bore. And yeah, you can say 3 weeks or 8 weeks, but the intent is there from Iran. They don't want to give up whatever nuclear stuff they're doing. If they weren't doing anything, they'd let the inspectors in, and all this would go away for them, right?
Yeah, that's why you had the JCPOA.
Well, look, whatever initials you want to use, they won't allow any weapons inspectors in to see what they are doing. I do trust U.S. intelligence. I don't think it's a compromised outfit as some political outfits are. I could be wrong. I was wrong about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And the reason I was wrong was because Saddam Hussein told his own generals he had them. And then those generals leaked it to the New York Times and put it on page 1. And, well, I bought it.
That's not what happened.
Of course that's what happened.
The Bush administration, lied about there being yellow cake uranium and there being weapons of mass destruction.
I don't know about yellow.
That's how it started. It didn't come through the New York Times. It came through the Bush administration.
If you go back,
Mr. Fair Broker.
And this is easy for you to do, it was on page 1 of the New York Times.
I'm sure it was.
They had weapons of mass destruction, and it ruined a person you know's career. The reporter who wrote it.
I'm well aware. I'm well aware of what happened. Also ruined,
because every word I said is true.
Well, you think every word you say is true.
Prove it.
That's okay.
Cuomo, you want to put 10 grand on it now? I'll prove it.
Yes. I'll tell you what. I'll put $100,000 on this proposition, that the idea that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction did not start with the New York Times. It started with the Bush administration, and that's why Colin Powell wound up losing his career when he very well could have been a superior president of the United States.
No,
because they made it up, they ruined intelligence careers, and they lied.
It started
Look, he may have been saying it, but to blame the New York Times for what the Bush administration did, no. It started with Saddam. I'll give you that. But that's not what we're talking about. And it also doesn't matter because it never ends, Bill. We're doing it right now with what's happening in Iran, and I would bet my left eye that if they do something in Cuba, there will also be something we didn't know that they had brewing, that it had to happen right now. And I think the American people are about to show in the midterms they signed up for a war at home over affordability, over health care, over what's going to happen in the new economy. And that is all being distracted from by these moves. Fair to say?
It's pretty cynical of you to say that U.S. intel is just garbage and, doesn't
No, that's what Trump
report
said.
accurately.
I never said that. That's what Trump said standing in Helsinki next to Vladimir
You're going to
Putin.
bet your
I
left
watched it in real time.
You're going to bet your left eye, okay, this is what you said, that
Yes.
the reason that we're doing the Iran thing is bogus. You think it's bogus? You said it many times.
There was no imminent nuclear threat, and U.S. intelligence shouldn't be blamed. They never told Trump that the regime was weeks away from a nuclear weapon. Never happened. They never said it, and that's why even he can't have them come forward and lie about it and say, yes, we did. It was imminent.
Well,
that's why they're quiet.
All I can tell you is that the reports that Trump gets say that. Now, whether he puts them out publicly, it's up to him. But getting back to Iran, what's likely to happen there is a military strike within a week. I think he might wait until after Memorial Day. But he can't back down now. Can't back down. Tom Petty once sang it, can't back down. And Cuba, do you have to do this now? Is it a diversion? Possible. You didn't have to announce Raúl Castro's warrant today. You could have done it 2 weeks from now. But does it hurt Trump to announce that? I don't think so. You do. I don't think it's going to hurt him if he can break Iran. If he doesn't break Iran, Donald Trump's legacy is in trouble. I've said it before. And I said in the very beginning, big gamble. Got to win it. Got to win it.
Not too fair to Tom Petty, though. Tom Petty's song was about not backing down from somebody trying to push him off what he believed was important. Nobody was pushing Trump on this. He sought this out. This was a war of choice started by him, which is why they played with the idea of whether it were a war or not. And you and I discussed how absurd that was. And we've moved past that phase. But it's going to end in a deal, right? At some point. It's just under the control of a bunch of despotic zealots who are in control of that process because only we need it to end. The zealots don't want it to end. The Israelis don't want it to end. Only the Americans do.
But there'll be more punishment for the people of Iran if they don't end it. And Trump can't get, there's only one deal. Only one. The inspectors go in. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But you're dealing with a bunch of crazy zealots who don't care about their people. And President Trump, at least putatively, must care about his people, although that's becoming a debatable proposition given what we're watching happen at home. And they're like trying, it's just like remember in the comics, you had Superman, and then they created this mirror image anti-hero of him called Bizarro. And it seems to me that Trump is becoming the Bizarro of Reagan's Superman, that he is creating situations that, are Make America Great Again, which came from Reagan, as you and I both remember. And the domestic agenda, though, is just being destroyed by him. And I don't understand why. Why doesn't he just take on what's happening here?
I think he didn't believe that the Iranian situation would spiral like it has. Because he called me up right when they were first going to do this. He goes, military action or deal? I go, deal if you can get it, because you don't want civilians dead in the dust. And he doesn't.
You were right.
And he doesn't. Okay? And then he said, well, look, I made a campaign promise that they're not going to get nukes. Our intel says they are working feverishly on getting nukes, that the uranium enrichment is going very quickly. And now we have a chance to negate that. And I said, better on a deal, but if you have to use military and you're convinced that's the truth, then you have to use military. And that's where we are.
So it's your fault.
Everything's my fault, Cuomo. You know that. Come on. But you know, you paint a very bleak picture of the domestic situation in the United States. And the stock market was up another 600 points today. And I keep saying that the corporate titans wouldn't be backing Trump if they didn't believe that he was going to come out on top on all this. Now, it may take a little while, but Trump has run out of, we're going to delay, we're going to delay. He doesn't have any more time, pretty much. I understand
That's interesting.
There are talks going on right now. He says they're close, but we've heard that word close a lot of times. The American people are going, this is time to put this to bed. They are going.
The oil stocks are very sideways. There's tons of volatility there, even amongst the gamblers within those commodities markets. The stock market is up.
Big.
We should all understand, because of a handful of AI companies who went with Trump, 4 of the 7 that are driving 80% of the growth in the stock market index. The S&P 500 is motivated by a handful of companies. Half the companies in the S&P 500 are flat or down.
It's
very lopsided. It's not Main Street, okay?
It doesn't matter. In my portfolio, I have one AI stock, one. And the portfolio is up very, very big. But the importance of that is the corporations have not bailed on Trump.
I'm sure they won't, too, because he has taken very good care of them. It's the workers I'm worried about.
Okay. I'm worried about them, too. And that's why things have to be resolved. They have to. Can't wait.
Well, I agree. I believe that the fight should be at home. I believe that the fight should have been not with China about whether or not they can open the Strait of Hormuz, but how we get production away from Taiwan and why it's here. I don't understand why the Democrats haven't made this their hill to die on.
Because
we're going to be the chip economy.
They don't care about that. That's not. They have no foreign policy.
They may wind up. They may wind up finding this opportunity because it's staring them right in the face.
There's nobody. The Democrats have no foreign policy whatsoever. None. Listen to Schumer. Listen to him read off the words off the page. He doesn't have any foreign policy, and that's what's going to save Trump and the GOP if they can be saved in the midterms. Is that? Am I going to vote for a party that has nothing? You got nothing, and that's the advantage.
They have to have something. You're right. They have to have something. And I will again just direct people to history. Ronald Reagan was the beautiful version of Donald Trump. He was an inspirational figure. He kept saying America was great. Trump has been a reductive opposite of that. But in both sets of midterms, Reagan got walloped after his first and second election for the same reason. Well, maybe. We're in a more extreme time and an angrier time, but we'll see. And I will be discussing it with you all the way through. Bill O'Reilly, thank you for being on with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.